this art exhibit was gifted. This was a gift. No one's given us a gift. You know, this was, and they continue to give.
So basically putting faces with these art exhibits, with the portraits, that's changed things for you. That's
Absolutely.
changed things for your organization, and it expedited the process, you would say?
It's the most joyful project I have worked on in the 4 years that I've been doing this. It crosses all barriers. You know, people see us in a way that we want to be seen as children. And, you know, people, you know, we're living with a disease, but we want to be seen. Not as our disease, but beyond that. And I feel like the art community has kind of adopted us. You know,
oh yeah,
they really have taken to this.
But
I mean,
it's been a cure for them. It's been a cure for them.
I know, which is
to do that portrait
me.
and know how it has impacted that family or that child.
Yeah,
there's nothing more fulfilling.
Well, you know what? Being an advocate, and you know, people thank me all the time for work, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
like helping people.
Right.
There's nothing better.
Right.
There's no work I don't think better than helping someone who needs you.
And you're really stuck doing it now, because there's no shutting that door for you. It's not like you're an artist and you can just go back and just do your work and you know, stay focused on doing stuff. You live every single day with your daughters and the suffering that they have, you feel as a mother. You have no choice. So you have to take that and you have to do something with it.
Right.
Just like an artist who is struggling and has learned and discovered that if they create something, that's the only cure to feeling better.
Right.
You're kind of like in that same realm. This is going to be a long-standing collaboration.
This is just a great way to raise awareness. It's a joyful way to raise awareness, and it's extremely effective at crossing that barrier of, you know, this is a rare,
getting it out of a textbook.
Right.
And something that you read about and then putting a face to it.
We reached well over 100,000 people with this exhibit through the Rhode Island Journal of Medicine did an article on it, Brown University newsletter, the Brown Daily Herald, the local television station did a segment on the exhibit. It's something that everybody can understand. It's a way that we can teach people about rare diseases. And you know, it was meant to be in the medical schools, but, you know, we're going to have it at the Capitol. We want it, you know, I'd like the general public to know as well. And we love Brown University.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Because it is a liberal, you know, medical education. They're progressive. I mean, they're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
You know, this is the future of medicine. The future of medicine is the patient. You know, precision medicine, and it's going to be at an individual level. And hopefully we'll get through this. You know, you have 15 minutes with this person, and you move into the next person. We need to work on that. But I think that this school, I'm so grateful to live in Rhode Island and to you know, have on Dr. Everson on our medical board, who championed and fought for this lecture series. And this is Rhode Island rocks.
I think Dr. Everson had a great quote. He said that it's about teaching medical students that sometimes you're not the smartest person in the room, which is an unusual position for them to be in.
Absolutely.
It's really about acknowledging that your patient may know more about this disease, or their family may know more than you do, and being okay with that. Personally, I had a wonderful experience with my son's pediatrician. As soon as he was diagnosed, she looked at me and said, I have never had a patient who had Williams syndrome before, but I'm going to learn everything I can about it, and we're going to do this together. And, you know, I saw her say to her medical assistant, keep that chart aside. I'm going to go back to that. I need to do more reading on that. And that's what I want all of our medical students to leave here with, that approach, that you don't have to have all the answers. It's okay. Patients are not always expecting you to know everything, and it's far better to admit that you have some learning to do than it is to either dismiss somebody or give them the wrong answer. You know, so we're really trying to encourage them to learn.
We want the doctors to know, like Chris said, that it's okay to say, I don't know. or it's okay to say, you know what, you really have a good grasp of this, or even say like your doctor did. I had Olivia's oral surgeon said, I want to learn. I want to learn about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I started to cry. You know, to hear a doctor say, I want to learn. One of the best doctors in the country, one of the best oral surgeons at Mass General, I want to learn. There's something that I don't know,
Right.
and I'm going to learn about it.
That's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's rare that happens, but when
Oh,
it
and I
does,
think it comes from good training, and it sounds like Brown's doing the good training.
Right. The other aspect is the research, and we do want to encourage students, if they are planning research careers as well, that they may want to investigate a rare disease. I think one of the things that deters people from studying rare diseases is that lack of National Institutes of Health funding for the rare diseases. And if you are looking at a research career where your very life, your day-to-day job is reliant on grants from the NIH, you may be deterred to go into an area that does not have a lot of funding. And so
Right.
therefore it becomes a cycle that then it's hard to get
Right.
people doing rare disease work. And I think foundations like Patty's, a lot of those places are the sources for the funding for that kind of research. So if we can get some students interested in investigating rare diseases, it may help that rare disease, but it also may also tell us a lot about other things, in particular, like with Williams syndrome, for instance, has some aspects of premature aging involved. And so that may tell us a lot about aging for everyone. It may not just help children with Williams syndrome, may help everybody.
Right.
and they found that
Yeah,
to be
that's
true. And this has been going on since, God, I think one of the first doctors was in the 1500s that said, if you want to know, how to treat common, you should look at the uncommon. And
Wow.
yeah, there's been a lot of treatments that have come out of researching rare diseases that they say, oh my God, this would work really great for
Something else.
this more common disease. So it benefits everybody. And we work a lot. I'm so pro NIH, and getting them more funding for rare disease research is imperative. I mean, we cost this country a lot of money. I mean, if you're on this diagnostic journey where you're 8 years of tests, the same tests over and over. There's a lot of people that are on Medicaid. There are a lot of people on disability. My daughter just applied for disability. She's 18 years old. She'll probably be on disability her whole life.
Right.
And if we could get a treatment, or if we could even get a protocol when you have somebody complex and rare come into the hospital or come into a doctor's office that addresses all of these things, we could save this country
A lot of money.
billions. So, let's put that back in the NIH.
But I was thinking about when my kids were going off to college, and one of them in particular, and I won't mention the colleges that she was applying to, when we would go to their, the days where you find out about it, learn more about it. And the one that we were drawn to was separate in a sense to us and stood out because they put kids in situations where they actually had to use the skills. So there were two main schools. One of them was very heady, very textbook, very, it was great, but like you guys were talking about, until you put a face to something, it's all in your head. And then there's the tendency, I think, for people to get in a rut where they think they know all the answers.
Right.
And then they become experts and they write books and people follow them, but they're really not solving the problem.
Their knowledge has really never been tested in a real world.
Right, it's not urban tested. And so in this particular college that my daughter went to, what we loved was they took these engineering students and different disciplines of engineering, and they took them to another country. So their professor's job and the department's job was to find countries that had very little resources and find needs within them. And so obviously the word's out, and so these countries are sending in their proposals to this college. And so this one particular situation was there was a town that was, they had drought, they were losing their olive trees, and literally this is what they did. This is the people's livelihood in this village was the olive trees. And so everything came from that. They press the olives, they get the olive oil, they take it to the market. Everything was just absolutely basic. But they didn't know how to solve the problem. And so this school sent over a team of engineers with the knowledge of engineering on paper and in textbooks and, the math of it and all of that.
Right.
And they had to go there and see what the resources were. They had to work with the people that were in the community, and they had to, and they ended up creating something very rudimentary because that's what the resources were. And it sounds like Brown is, doing the same type of research, and certainly with the rare disease community, and also with this exhibit. And what I like about that, and I just because I love art, and that's where my heart and my passion is, in the arts. And I know for a fact that the countries that take art out of their curriculum are far less creative, have a higher suicide rate, and they aren't the problem solvers. So they can take what Americans who have all this kind of creative thinking that's put into their curriculum, they can take our ideas and they can maximize them. They can just max them out because they hyper-focus on something. But we're the creators still. And the creative people are in America because we're still studying the arts, and we're putting them really high on the priority list. And you'll find that the creative thinking will cross into the medical field, or cross into the engineering field, and it comes from, like you said, bringing them over to museums, letting them view art.
The rare disease community has so many unmet needs. First of all, we have an 8-year diagnosis time on average, which is completely unacceptable. To wait 8 years to find out, treatment, the earlier you can get treatment to somebody, the better off they're going to be. That's our second issue, is treatments. Of the 7,000 rare diseases, maybe 1% have a treatment. And of course, we don't, in the rare community, we don't hope for cures, which a lot of people are lucky enough to hope for a cure. We just hope for a treatment. And then when we do get the treatments, a lot of the people use off-label, which means they're using drugs that were not approved by the FDA for what they're using them for, so they're not covered by insurance. So the financial strain on a family of a child with a rare disease, even if you have good insurance, is horrible. I mean, most people can't have a working, one parent stays home. For my daughter, it's like a full-time job, organizing her care, because she needs PT several times a week, and, the different specialists that we see, it's coordinating her care is it's a job. It's really a job. Although I'm trying, now that she's 18, I'm trying to have her do more and more and more of it, because I'm not going to be around forever, and then who's going to take care of her? She needs to be able to coordinate her own care and take care of herself.
So you're seeking sponsors that would take on your cause?
We'd love to have more of the general public get involved. I mean, it's not like we can send out a donation pledge or a request and people get it, because they don't. They think, how can I help someone with it? And I understand that. I understand, if someone comes to your door and says, I'm going to ask for cancer, I'm going to ask for heart disease, I'm going to ask for, diabetes, I'm going to ask for rare diseases. You're not going to give to rare diseases. I don't put out requests for donations to the rare disease community because I know they're struggling like I am financially. We believe, and the reason why I started this was because I know that Chris and I have a shared journey. We're looking for ways to be non-disease specific, but come together on the issues that we need help on. And we're working on legislation right now in Rhode Island for a Rare Disease Advisory Council, which we filed in 4 states. Things are happening. Good things are starting to happen. This exhibit was, exceeded all of my expectations.
Chris, what about Brown University? What do you think?
Well, for Alpert Medical School is the only school of medicine in Rhode Island. We're really the state's medical school, and we are doing more and more reaching out into the community. It's wonderful to be working with the Wickford Art Association because we're trying to expand outside of Providence, so it's wonderful to be reaching into other parts of Rhode Island. We are going to be doing more exhibits. We have currently some work by one of our faculty members looking at medicinal and toxic plants. And then after that, we're going to be featuring work of our medical students. They are multi-talented people, many musicians, many writers, and certainly lots of artists. And I just looked at their work. It's pretty amazing. So people are welcome to come into the building on weekdays to see the work here.
So tell us about the DC exhibit. When's it going to be, and what are your hopes for it?
We hope to have it next year. Every year, the last day in February, recognized worldwide, is Rare Disease Day. And that's why we did February. This was unveiled in February at Brown University in recognition of World Rare Disease Day. So the idea is to have it at the Capitol next year in February in recognition of Rare Disease Day. There's a lot of lobbying going on. You know, a lot of advocates are in D.C. During the month of February because of Rare Disease Day. You know, we really want to bring that to the Capitol, and I have to say that our U.S. senators here in Rhode Island, both of them have worked on national legislation that we worked with Senator Whitehouse that Obama signed into law. It's called the Expert Act, and it allows the FDA to bring in rare disease patients and outside researchers when they're reviewing a treatment for an orphan disease, which is fantastic. So I'm so lucky to have Senator Reid and Senator Whitehouse, who are really behind this and behind the rare disease population, and they've been wonderful. And we worked in Mass, and we closely with the legislators in Mass, and we hope to grow it. We hope to grow it in other states.
So next February.
Next February for that, but it will travel. I mean, right now we think the exhibit will we're trying. I need to hire someone just to do the exhibit. It's become huge. We're having a gala on July 25th, and we're going to unveil the second exhibit. The first exhibit will be there as well. We're going to unveil the second exhibit, and what we want to do is raise enough money to fly the families in so that they can meet the artists.
Right.
And the artists, I think the artists are more excited than the family. Everybody's like, oh my God, I want to meet the family, And the kids that were at the exhibit, they were able to see their portraits, and they were like, oh, that's me. They were really excited.
That's awesome.
And of course the families were speechless. Most of them were speechless. And
now what artist wouldn't want to take part in that?
You know what? I just can't believe anybody's taking, literally. We have doors slammed in our face constantly. And this has been like a flood of goodwill and caring that at a level that we do not experience. We just don't.